My rebuttal to the deeper crime problem that the National Guard can't solve. A story by Toulouse Olorunipa for The Atlantic. Selective storytelling. The article opens with a sympathetic anecdote about Justin Fawkes, a man caught in Baltimore's drug trade. While personal stories tug on emotions, they don't define policy effectiveness. Individual redemption stories cannot erase the fact that Baltimore has spent decades experimenting with rehabilitation-first strategies while consistently ranking among the most violent cities in America. A single HVAC certificate does not outweigh hundreds of homicide victims each year whose lives are never given the same media spotlight. False dichotomy: rehabilitation versus enforcement. The article frames the debate as either community programs or militarization. This is a false dichotomy. No one denies that rehabilitation has a role, but it only works after criminals are taken off the street. Victims of shootings don't benefit from job training offered to the man who shot them. Enforcement is not the opposite of compassion, it is the necessary precondition for it. Misleading historical claims. The story asserts that tough policing and incarceration quadrupled the prison population without solving crime. That's half true. From the mid-1980s through the mid-1990s, crime rates in cities like New York and Los Angeles dropped sharply due to more aggressive policing, gang crackdowns, and mandatory sentencing. Data show that the 1990s mass incarceration era coincided with the most significant crime decline in modern U.S. history. Critics cherry-pick the incarceration figure while ignoring the undeniable fact that neighborhoods became safer when violent repeat offenders were locked up. Denial of current crisis. Baltimore's mayor and Maryland's governor boast about funding police and community programs, but still preside over one of the nation's highest per capita homicide rates. Saying we had fewer homicides with fewer arrests ignores context. In 2022, Baltimore still had more than 330 homicides, a number proportionally higher than many war zones. Celebrating 90 murders in 8 months as progress is not leadership, it's surrender. Dismissing deterrence. The article dismisses Trump's call for harsher penalties, including the death penalty, as ineffective. But deterrence is not only about convincing all criminals not to act, it's about incapacitating those who have already killed. A murderer who faces the death penalty or life without parole is permanently deterred from reoffending. The so-called studies against deterrence rely on narrow metrics and ignore the lived reality of citizens who want predators removed. Double standard on federal support. Democratic mayors accept billions in federal aid for police expansion, yet object when that support comes in the form of National Guard deployments. Why? Because they fear the stigma of admitting their own policies failed. Protecting citizens should outweigh political image. If the Guard is good enough to clean up after hurricanes, it's good enough to stabilize neighborhoods ravaged by daily shootings. The role of federal authority. The story portrays Trump's deployment as unconstitutional and theatrical, yet the Constitution gives the federal government responsibility for public safety in the nation's capital, and history is clear. Presidents from Eisenhower to Johnson to Bush have used federal forces to restore order in crises. Pretending that it is unprecedented or illegal ignores decades of precedent. What works and what doesn't? The bottom line is this: Baltimore, Chicago, New Orleans, and D.C. have been run by Democrats for generations, with endless experiments in data-driven policing and community interventions. The result has been cycles of murder, gang dominance, and residents who openly describe themselves as dead men walking. Federal force may not cure every root cause of crime, but it restores order so that root causes can even be addressed. Programs mean nothing if mothers still fear letting their children walk to school. Conclusion. The story reduces Trump's actions to theatrics and 1980s thinking, but the facts show otherwise. Harsh realities demand harsh responses. Rehabilitation without enforcement is a fantasy. Enforcement without rehabilitation may be incomplete, but order must come first. Without safety, no program, no letter from the mayor, and no federal grant will matter. Please like and subscribe to learn more.